Breakups, the series, is a fully improvised web series where we are using improvisation, theatrical improvisation, to explore the sort of hilarious and terrible experiences that we all have when we break up with somebody. Whether or not it's breaking off a friendship or breaking off a boyfriendship or girlfriendship. I feel like it's one of those unique experiences that everyone has practice with. Which is why the sort of tagline of the series is, if you are alive, you've had one, because I still remember the first time I got dumped because I didn't play hide and go seek with Casey Smith, and she dumped me. And it was terrible. I was probably 6 years old. I remember that, and I laugh at it now, because if you've gotten past it, then you can sort of relive that territory. So I think that in every episode we try to sort of reclaim whatever awful heartbreak we've had to go through in our lives.
And the Vimeo Award for Outstanding Original Series goes to Breakups, the series, by Ted Tremper.
Lucky enough to win the 2010 Vimeo Award for Best Original Series, which was amazing and certainly unprecedented for me. I've always been interested in film. So last year, after watching a bunch of videos on Vimeo, people's footage tests and things like that, I decided that I would buy a Canon 5D without owning any lenses or anything like that. So the body arrived, and I changed my status update to ask if on Facebook if anybody had any lenses that they wanted to let me borrow. And my friend Hars let me borrow 3 Nikon prime lenses, and so I bought a Nikon lens mount adapter and started shooting. Some of the episodes are really sad, some of the episodes are really funny, but what we're always sort of trying to shoot for is to have them be honest, which is sort of where the improv comes in. Because all of them are improvised, we start with sometimes an initial premise. Generally, it's a feeling that we're interested in exploring, and the sort of improv terminology of finding the scene. And so when I ask actors to be a part of it, usually what I tell them is that we can literally do anything. I invite them to try to come up with something that is impossible to do, or something they think that can't be done, or whether or not they're interested in exploring an emotional point of view. I'll work with them to create something that I think is reflective of what we might try to capture visually, and then we sort of go from there. So it's improvisational filmmaking and improvisational acting, because on any given day I won't know what the variables are going to be. We've been very lucky, and luckily the Canon camera is really versatile. I mean, we shot inside of the Ferris wheel at Navy Pier, and we've shot in very confined spaces in a 3 foot by 4 foot bathroom and stuff like that. So it's a really wonderful camera to have to be able to not run and gun, but it's a thing where we're able to make an artful shot using almost no resources. So yeah, so one of the things that's really interesting, a quote that I keep going back to a lot of the time, is the cinematographer for the television show House shot all of the series finale of the last season on the Canon 5D Mark II, which is the same camera that I use. And he said the great news about that is, with this sort of democratization of film that's happening, is that you can essentially have $1 million film studio for $3,500 if you get, a Canon, camera and a lens that shoots HD. But his counterpoint to that was the bad news is there's going to be a lot of kids in the suburbs who realize that that doesn't mean you know how to tell a story. And to me, that summated sort of all of what's going on right now, because people, I think, believe that if you spend $2,000 on a camera, that you're automatically going to start creating great work. And you may be able to start, shooting really beautiful videos of, a brook or a meadow or whatever the footage tests that people use. But there I think you really have to ask yourself what is interesting to you emotionally, sort of what the content of what you're going to be creating is. And I think that one of the things that's been really beneficial to me is because I have a background both in writing and in improvisation, those are two areas where you have to be very much unafraid of expressing yourself. You have to be in touch with what your fears are and what your hopes are, and be, I guess, unafraid and sort of unapologetic in exploring and exposing those different things. The thing about web series is that I feel like there's a lot of them out there, and I hate to say that I don't think that many of them are very good, but I think it's a fact that most of the things on the internet are there's so much volume of information and so many different things that people are doing that, if you have 100 Facebook friends, at least 3 times a day, you're being, sort of affronted with, watch this video. And I feel like you really have to seek out a platform where your work is going to be considered in the way that you want it to be considered. So if you're making a video that is just meant to make people laugh, then putting that on Funny or Die, or putting that on Adam.com, or putting that on YouTube is a good avenue. But one of the things about Vimeo that was really amazing is that because it was a website where I knew filmmakers went, and the reason I knew that is because I was one and I didn't know what I was doing, and that's where I went because that's where all of the people were putting up all their test footage. Knowing that there were people who were considering film work seriously was very meaningful for me in choosing that as the platform to have the series, and why it's extraordinarily meaningful for me that we won that award, because it was the place where I learned to shoot HDSLR video. I think in terms of creating something when you're creating something, you don't, if you made a work of art, you wouldn't want to hang it in a shitty gallery, I guess, is sort of the way that I look at it. And, whether or not you are making the video because you want your friends to see it and laugh at it, or whether or not you're making it because it's a portfolio piece and you want to share it with people, those are all questions you need to consider when you're deciding what platform you're going to put it on, In the end, I just feel like the goal should always be to make work that you believe is true to whatever your artistic vision is, whether or not you're trying to be funny or whether or not you're trying to make something that's beautiful, or both. The important part is, really just enjoy it, and if you do, then share it.